We received the call at approximately 11:43 that there was an active shooter at the Islamic Center.
A San Diego community, victims killed, a hate crime investigation, but there is another layer to this story, and we need to talk about it.
And when people are occupied, then the resistance is justified.
Those exact words coming from the mosque's Imam. A closer look at the Islamic Center, its controversial past, and serious ties to 9/11. Hi everyone, good to see you. I'm Stella. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I want to get you caught up on some news you can use and then you can move on with your day. So on Monday, May 18th, 2 gunmen opened fire inside the Islamic Center in San Diego, killing 3 people before turning the gun on themselves. It was a horrific incident with children inside at the time. It's being investigated as a hate crime. And while we're still gathering more information about this incident, and there is a lot we don't know, there is also a lot we do know about this mosque. Its ties to 9/11, questions Americans still don't have answered. I want you to spend a few minutes with me so I can break it all down with you. I'll get to its past and all of that in just a moment. But first, I want to start off with what happened on Monday, May 18th. So the Islamic Center of San Diego is the largest mosque in San Diego County, serving a congregation of more than 5,000 people. At 9:42 in the morning, the San Diego Police Department received a 911 call. A mother reported her son was missing and suicidal, and that her car and several of her firearms were also gone. Just 2 hours later, police received reports of an active shooter at the Islamic Center. Now, the suspects, 18-year-old Caleb Liam Vazquez and 17-year-old Cain Lee Clark, they parked in the Islamic Center parking lot, ran past security. The security guard was 51-year-old Amin Abdullah, killing him. The guard was able to return fire and initiated protocols before he was killed. So he essentially saved all the children inside. Vasquez and Clark killed 2 more men inside the mosque before they fled. They got into their car and then they later killed themselves in the car. The 2 had met online. They were both radicalized. That's what we know. They left behind a manifesto with blaming everything on the Jews, adding they didn't hate Muslims but hated Islam. They hated black people. They hated gay people. They were not trans. There were earlier reports saying that they were trans. They were incels. They hated MAGA and called for the left to kill President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. Now let's talk about the security guard who saved many lives. A father of 8, and here is one of his daughters.
He was a loving father, husband, son, brother, and uncle. To me, my dad was a role model. He was a best friend. He was the best, absolute best dad in the world. He was my protector. My dad was the #1 advocate for safety and keeping our community safe. He stood against any form of hate.
And while she says her father stood against all forms of hate and is hailed as a hero to their community, her father's social media tells a whole different story. On Facebook, he responded to a post hailing Hitler. Look at this, saying, "Do you understand why I did what I did?" To which he, Amin Abdullah, said, "For show." Okay? So he also posted this, a video about the Jewish people and the Talmud saying hellfire is waiting for them. Sounds radical to me. I don't know. What do you think about that? But he's not alone when it comes to this mosque. The Islamic Center of San Diego is linked to 2 9/11 hijackers, Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar. They were members of the mosque and helped crash a plane into the Pentagon. A 9/11 Commission report says mosque members helped them find an apartment in San Diego, get social security numbers, get driver's licenses, buy a car, and even received money through the mosque's own bank account from a nephew of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11. So why was this mosque allowed to stay open? If you agree, hit that like button and tell me what you think, because that is the question that many Americans and San Diegans can't wrap their brains around. But it gets more interesting, and it is really unbelievable. Hey guys, I just want to interrupt the show for just a second to share some really good news. And I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching my show and supporting me on my media journey on YouTube beyond. As many of you know, and if you don't, I spent 20 years working in corporate news, but saw where things were going. So I decided to leave, create something on my own where I can actually report honestly. And oh my goodness, I am so happy I did. And thanks to all of you, we have a new sponsor on the show, and I'm really excited to tell you about it. A lot of people see what's happening right now, and they're still not doing anything about it. We're talking about inflation, policy decisions, where the economy is going. None of this is hidden, but then you look at where people actually have their money. It's still in the same system. Retirement, savings, all tied to it. So I started to look into what options people even have, and one thing that kept coming up was physical gold, even through certain retirement accounts. Yeah, I spoke with a company, Augusta Precious Metals, just to understand how that works. They explained the entire process, answered all of my questions, and honestly, most people don't even realize this is something they can do. If you want to look into it, go to stellatrustgold.com or text Stella to 35052. That's stellatrustgold.com, or you can text Stella to 35052. So in 2004, the mosque brings in a new imam. Imam Taha Hassan was brought in to lead the mosque from the Colorado Muslim Youth Foundation. He's originally, though, from Algeria. Taha Hassan was brought in as this interfaith leader, specifically to work together with the Jewish and Christian communities. It was essentially like a PR campaign to change the image of Islam post 9/11, specifically because of the mosque's ties and links to 9/11. Well, in 2005, Freedom House investigators, a nonprofit democracy watchdog group, found that the Islamic Center of San Diego was stocked with Saudi-funded literature that literally called its religious duty to hate Christians and Jews and promote jihad. And in 2016, when the government finally declassified 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report, it revealed that the FBI believed that Saudi Arabia was funneling money to al-Qaeda through American mosques, including this one. So now let's fast forward and go to October of 2023. Just days after October 7th, days after Hamas viciously attacked Israel, killing 1,200 people, stealing 240 others, taking them hostage. This is what Imam Taha Hassan said. Listen.
Now is the result, the continuous brutal occupation of Palestine and Gaza. And when people are occupied, then the resistance is justified. Resistance when people are occupied becomes a human right. People have the right to resist. People have the right to defend their lives and the lives of their community members. People have the right to defend their land, their properties, their deen, their dignity, their honor. We cannot accuse somebody who is fighting for his life to be a terrorist. The terrorist is the one who started the occupation, not the one who is defending himself.
So resistance is justified. Terrorism against innocent people excused, right? This coming from a supposed leader excusing vicious attacks against innocent children who slept in their beds and murdered for no other reason but being Jewish. I watched those videos because you know why? Because it wasn't hard to find. Hamas recorded them for the world to see. They live streamed a lot of it. Innocent people brutally murdered enjoying a music festival, the Nova Music Festival. People stolen, taken to the hellhole of Gaza and into tunnels, treated like rats, starved, many murdered. That's what he calls resistance, and it was justified? Now, his wife is not any better. Post-October 7th, she posted this graphic photo showing a Jewish star murdering babies with "the devil is killing" at the bottom. Now, we also know the Islamic Center of San Diego frequently partners with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, for events and activism. CARE was named an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation case in 2008, the largest Hamas terror financing case in U.S. history. CARE denies those allegations. Now, the case itself showed that money was being funneled from American Muslims, to Hamas. Now, prior to the case, the FBI had a working relationship with CARE. They were seen as sort of like this liaison to the American Muslim community. after the Holy Land Foundation trial, the FBI cut ties with CAIR. Now, also mentioned in that case were NAIT, the North American Islamic Trust, and ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America. They were also named on the co-conspirator list, but they were never charged. Now, these are nonprofit Islamic organizations operating in the United States that are known for helping finance, support, and manage mosque properties and Islamic centers across the country. In fact, according to public property records, it appears to show that the Islamic Center of San Diego itself is tied to NAIT ownership. Now, again, that alone, I want to clarify, is not proof of criminal wrongdoing, but Americans absolutely have the right to ask, who is funding these organizations that are funding these mosques? Is foreign money involved at all? And what kind of ideological influence is flowing into American mosques and institutions? These are national security questions. Of course they are. And after 9/11, Americans have every right to ask these questions. And again, I want to make something very clear. No one should ever be killed under any circumstances, and nothing about these questions changes that at all. But holding two things at once is not wrong. We can mourn the victims while asking hard questions about oversight, foreign funding, ideological influence in American institutions. Those questions existed before this latest attack. And that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my work, please continue to support me. Please like, please comment, and of course, please subscribe.